Okay guys, all of the control arms and servo horns basically work the same way. You do need to widen out the hole that you're going to use. You can see that one is just a little bit wider. So I just reamed it out real quick with a body reamer, or you can use a little pin vise with the drill bit. And then basically they use these Dubro style easy connectors, but the blocks there are plastic, and then you have a metal set screw. So I'm going to build it that way. That's the way that they wanted to do it, so it's no problem. So you just pop, once you have it wide enough, you pop the little easy connector into the arm, and it should be able to move. You don't want it to be real loose, but it should be able to move freely in there so that it can rotate. And then there's a little bottom cap piece to go on the bottom there to retain it. So you pop that on. And then once that is on, there you go. Once that is on like that, you go ahead and set up the arm. Everything's been zeroed, remember, back in the beginning. So I'm just going to put it on nice and straight. Neutral position. Mount it up with the little set screw so it's locked in place, and then we'll go ahead and put the linkage on. Okay, so the control arm is attached, got the screw in, easy connector. Grab your push rod and your little piece of silicone tubing and slide it onto the rod, and you want to get it up to the front. This tubing goes over this pretty tightly, so don't be surprised if you have to kind of work it to get it onto there. And I'm actually gonna, because once you're connected up onto the aileron and everything, it's a little harder to do this, and you risk more chance of damaging the airplane. So I'm going to get it worked up pretty much about there. Still got enough that I can open this and get that attached to the control horn. So we'll go ahead and place this through the easy connector, and then you want to just bring this over and connect it up to the control horn right there. Servo can move a little bit, it's pretty much centered. We'll sub-trim that out. Snap that into place, and then bring that silicone tubing right pretty close there. You don't want to quite touch, you don't want to interfere, but just close enough so that this is not going to come apart. And that seems pretty good. All you have to do now is grab your set screw, little tiny set screw right there, and level your aileron, and go ahead and attach the set screw right in there. If you want to make sure that this is going to seat nicely, you can sand a little flat piece, a flat section of the control arm, so that the set screw has more of a bite. On these small airplanes, I've never really done that too much, and it's been just fine. The set screws just tend to hold on their own, no problem. On a bigger plane you might want to do that, but I'm just going to go ahead and set this screw right in place, and this linkage will be done, and then we'll go on and do the rest of them. They all work the same way, and we'll go on from there. Just want to mention real quick, when you tighten the screw down onto the push rod, you want to make sure it's tight enough so it's not going to move, but you don't want to over tighten it and crush the control rod. This is carbon fiber, so if you really wrench this thing down, you could start to crush the carbon fiber rod. So just make sure it's tight, there's not going to be any movement there, and you'll be good to go. One thing I do like to do is to seal the hinge gaps so that you have nice even airflow over the wing and the control surface. So just take some Blenderm type tape, 3M tape, and put the aileron all the way into a deflection, and just along the bottom of the wing, just kind of tack this down all the way out to the edge. Try and keep it nice and straight so there's no wrinkles in it. And then once you get it tacked like that, cut off the end, just using a standard knife, hobby knife, scalpel, whatever. So I'm just cutting it off the end there. Can't see it, I know. And then while it's deflected all the way, you just press that into the hinge space. Press that tape down in there, just like this, and all the way out to the end. And now you've basically got a nice sealed hinge, so the air will not be going through the gap. And so I do that for all the control surfaces. We'll do that for the elevator and the rudder as well. And you can see it moves just fine. And now you've got it sealed. We're ready to go ahead and get the motor onto the front of the airplane. So we've got the E-flite 450 with the little collet adapter. And then we have the motor mount, the screws to attach the motor to the motor mount, and some offsets. And then a couple little screws that'll go in the side of the motor mount, one in the front and one towards the back. And these are going to just secure it to the mounting stick. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all assembled. I'll probably use a little bit of Loctite also on these screws just to keep everything nice and secure. And we'll get the motor attached to the plane. Okay, there's the motor installed on the motor mount with the offsets in place. Just pay attention to which way you want the wires to be coming off, which side, when you put the motor onto the motor mount. We'll go ahead and get it installed on the airplane. Okay, the motor, ESC, and the Velcro are now installed. As far as putting the motor with the motor mount on, pretty straightforward. I put the prop on with the collet adapter and did the whole thing at once just so I could be sure that the prop wouldn't be hitting the fuselage and I could get it as close as possible and have enough bite on the motor stick so that things would be solid and wouldn't move, but I wouldn't hit the fuselage. If you put this motor mount all the way towards the back with this collet adapter that comes with the E-flite 450 motor, the prop will be hitting the fuselage. You also have these two small wooden shims that you put on the left side of the motor mount. They're right here, and they give you just a little bit of right thrust. So with those actually in place, it's pretty hard to get this all the way towards the back because the motor mount stick becomes thicker as you go towards the back. So with the little shims in place, you got a little bit of right thrust, and you want just enough clearance of the prop with the fuselage, making sure everything is nice and solid. As far as putting the little screws in through the motor mount into the mounting stick, I just start the pilot holes with the little body reamer. You can use the pin vise and the drill bit as they call for in the instructions. I just had this handy, and you just need to start a little pilot hole, and then the screw goes in pretty easily. So one in the front and one towards the back. That's how that works. Got the Velcro on with the hook and loop, so we're ready to go with that. We'll flip it around and take a quick look at the ESC. Okay, so the plane is upside down. There's the ESC attached with your favorite double-sided sticky tape. And then it's a good idea to use some of these zip tie fasteners to tidy up the wiring of the motor leads and ESC leads. This way you keep the wires from possibly getting in the way of the prop and get everything nice and snug against the fuselage. Just keeps it nice and clean. So a couple of those on the top and the bottom, and all your wiring there is ready to go. Okay, everything is pretty much done. All that's left to do now is to put on the stickers and then set up the radio, making sure everything's going in the right direction and all that. So the stickers are up to you. You can put them on, leave them off, of course. I think this plane definitely needs the pilot figure. I think that's really cool. So I have a quick way of putting on stickers, and I'll just share it really fast. Just clean off the surface first with some rubbing alcohol. Just get off any oil, dirt, grime, whatever that's on there, so you have a nice clean surface. And I just use a pair of needle nose pliers to grab the sticker and get it in place. This way you can sort of manipulate exactly where you want to put it and get it right as perfectly as you possibly can. I usually don't end up being very perfect, but we'll just put it just like that. And I think that looks pretty cool, and we'll just go ahead and do the other side. Okay, everything is done, and we are ready to just check the CG and then set up the radio. I think it came out really well. It's a really nice looking little airplane. Go ahead and flip it over so you can see the bottom. This is the good side where there is not a bunch of wiring and receivers and ESCs, so they tend to show that more on the website, I've noticed. But every plane has another side to it. Every profile plane has a side where you have all the wiring and all that stuff. So we'll flip it around and then turn it upside down real quick. Okay, and just the bottom of the airplane so you can quickly see the wiring. There's the ESC on that side. And the main thing is just to try and keep it relatively tidy. I don't like a lot of wires hanging around, bunching up. So try to keep everything as clean as possible. And that's about all there is to that. The center of gravity is supposed to be around the 102 to 105 millimeter mark, and with the battery placed all the way back, it's just about 100 or so. So should be pretty good. We'll see how it flies. Okay, I removed the prop and powered everything up. I always do take the prop off when I'm going to power up a plane inside, especially if you're dealing with a big 12x6 E-prop. The last thing you want to do is bump the throttle and have a wild airplane inside the shop. It's just not a good thing. So it takes 2 seconds to take that prop off. Always do that when you're going to power up a plane and work on control surfaces and things like that. So everything works fine. I think we got enough throw on everything. I think that's going to be good. So the next thing to do is just get the plane out to the field and get some flights in. So those videos will be coming pretty soon. As always, thanks for watching, guys. If you like the videos, please subscribe. Any comments are appreciated. And that's all for now. Take care.